Hello, hello. It's Rene Byrd, and I'm here with another exciting, handsome, and very talented guest.
You.
And his name is Lee Marsh from Lee Marsh Bespoke. It's been really exciting for me. I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time because he's absolutely amazing what he's been doing, what he's achieved, and his story. So I'm really excited to share with you all this amazing gentleman. Hi, Lee. How are
Hey,
you?
Rene, how you doing?
I'm
Good to see
fine.
you.
Good to
Thanks
see
for
you
having me on.
too. No,
Thanks.
thank you so much. And I love the background, as I was saying. You can see all the different things. Well, what is that in the background, right just above you?
These are all patterns. These are all like customer patterns. So anytime I see a client, take his measurements, and I say, okay, once we go through the style of suit or whatever, take his measurements, take the style suit that he wants, and then I come back and I cut out his pattern from his measurements, and then I hang the patterns up. Some people put them in drawers, but this
Yeah,
is more traditional kind
yeah,
of way to do it. I think it just looks nice. It's just more
it
of a
does.
authentic bespoke look.
Yeah,
And yeah, it keeps
amazing.
the patterns all in line as well. They're all ordered in customer alphabetical order and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's
anytime I need a
amazing.
customer pattern and he calls me up and says, oh, I want a suit, I just go reach for his pattern and get the cloth, lay it out and get going, cut it out.
I love that. And it's so lovely to have you on. And, I've read your bio. It's incredible what you've done so far to where you are now.
Thank you.
But I always love to know somebody's story from the person.
Yeah.
Um, People don't realize how much work goes into building a business or building a career and learning a craft. And it's always lovely to know what inspired that craft. Sometimes it could be that they've been into fashion, or it could be that their background has dictated that. But I'm really excited for you to share with me, where did it all start? What was your inspiration to be a tailor?
Um, okay, I have to go way back now, right? So um I come from a Jamaican background, right? Like
Yeah,
we were saying, we're both coming from a Jamaican background. So
wonderful.
I think you have to agree, right? Anyone in a Jamaican family can sew. There's always one person that can put their hand to the sewing machine and make something. And then I think it stems back from, someone seeing something in a shop and, going to your aunt or whatever and showing them like, in the magazine or whatever, this is the garment that I want, and they will just make it up.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. So my gran was that person basically. She used to make for the whole town loads of different things. My grandfather was a tailor as well. So when they
Okay.
came over here, over in the 60s, in the Windrush era, they were still sewing in factories. My gran was sewing in factories, stuff like that. So I was always around sewing when I was young. Even when I was a baby, I was on my grandmother's lap while she's on the sewing machine. So I had the vibration of the sewing machine, I'm falling asleep and all kind of thing. So this is going back now, right? I've gone way back to baby, right? You didn't
Love
mean that
it.
far back, no.
No, no, tell me, because people don't realize something like that. The fact that you've mentioned about vibrations and that you
Yeah.
laid on your grandma, you'll be surprised what that was doing. And
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
it
For
was like
sure. When I
cultivating.
could hear a sewing machine going, I feel all soothed. I feel like I want to fall asleep sometimes.
And it is a lovely feeling, actually, thinking
Yeah, it's
back.
that humming sound, right? Yeah.
Mm.
But I mean, that's the environment I was growing up in, because my parents did take up sewing, so I was like the next generation that was always interested in it, and no, none of the other kids were interested in it apart from me. So I was always around my grandmother,
Mm.
and it was like anytime there was an occasion happening, like carnival, I would always go to my grand. Oh, can you make me this? Can you make me that? And show her a picture, and she look at it and she's like, all right, let me see what we can do. And
Yeah.
she'll make something, she'll knock it up and make it exactly how I want it. And I was always fascinated by that. I was like, how can you just look at that picture and make exactly the same thing, but make it better as well, and make it fit me? So I was in love from then. So I just started to learn more, and I was living with my grandparents for a while. I think most Jamaican kids in that area always get sent to their grandparents, right? So
Yeah.
I was quite happy to do that. Usually it's when you're
Mhm.
naughty, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. I love
But
it.
I love to just go there anyway, because I was always like helping out sewing and stuff like that. So that's how it started. That's how my passion for sewing happened. And
Mm.
because my grandfather was a tailor as well, but he didn't like to do any more tailoring and stuff. So I was always just trying to beg him to teach me things, and he showed me little bits and pieces. But my grand, she was the one that I was more so with a lot, and she was showing me a lot of. She was more of a machiner, so she was showing me a lot of machining, and she would like make up 50 skirts in one go and send them to the factory and all that. She was really quick. So from there, I learned as much as I could from my grandparents, and then I was like, you know what, I want to get a job in this. This is what I want to do for my career,
Mm.
and I made the decision from then. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and that's where it started. So at the time, my grandparents they was encouraging, and I mean, not saying more than my own parents, because my parents, they were like, you know what, do what you love to do, you know. But my grandparents more encouraging. So at the time, I made a machine jacket. This was out of one of those patterns, like a butterwick pattern that you'd get from John Lewis or whatever. And I made it up and machined it up. My grandparents helped me, and I thought it was like the best jacket ever. I was like, this is definitely gonna get me a job. So I was applying for jobs in newspapers, and came across the Evening Standard. At that time, I was living in South London, Streatham, and I saw an ad for a coat maker. So I applied for the coat maker position over the phone. I talked to the manager and put on my posh voice, obviously.
Of course.
So when he saw me, he was like, okay, you could tell when you're looking at you like, oh, right. So you're the guy that was on the phone. But it was like 3-hour journey all the way to Windsor Eton.
Wow.
And it was such a long journey. If I'd have known it was so long, I probably wouldn't have gone, to be honest. But while I was going, I was like, okay, I just need to get to this destination. So I got there a little bit late because I didn't work out the time. It was bad of me. I should have worked out the distance, but I didn't realize it was so long. So anyway, when I got there, I realized that it was a really old school traditional tailoring shop, and I knew straight away I wouldn't get this job because the suits that were in the window, I was like, I ain't seen suits like that before. This is different. Yeah. And the suit that I bought was like some lime green factory made. it looked like a joke, but I thought it was the business at the time until I saw the one in the window. I was like, someone told me that I ain't getting this job, but I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm here now, so I'm gonna go in there and just show him some enthusiasm, show him what I've got, and then see if he's impressed by that, and maybe I can still get a job off that. So I went to the shop, and this tall guy came out, manager, and Mr. Coulthard. He came out, and very posh, very English traditional looking tall tailor guy, and
coat and waistcoat.
So he was really dressed up. He was really tall as well. And I was like looking up to. I was like, wow. I was already dazed by the suit in the window. I was thinking, geez, that's some next level. So anyway, he goes, oh, how can I help you? I was like, oh, it's me. I'll come for the job. You know. He goes, oh, all right. Let's see what you got then. So I took out I was reluctant to take out the suit. I took it out anyway. And it was almost like, you know, there's like a light shining out of. It was Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they open a box of tomb, and there's like that's what the suit was like. And he looked at it, and it was just quiet, didn't say anything. And I was like, oh, what's he gonna say? He just said, you know what, I can see you can sew, so at least he gave me that. And he said, we're not able to give you a job. And I knew that anyway, but you know, seeing as you've come all this way, you're enthusiastic, we're looking to employ an apprentice. So if you want to learn, I was like, straight away, I said yes. I didn't even have to think about it, and that's how it started anyway.
Amazing. So. And that's in Eton, so the Etonians, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was we were literally 3 minutes or something like that away from, because we was on Eton High Street, Eton High Street, and that's where the college is for the Eton schoolboys. So we was literally 3 minutes away, and what our shop used to do, we used to do all the dry cleaners for the old Etonians and stuff like that. The Eton boys, we used to do all the dry. So I had to do the skivvy work, because that's what you do when you're an apprentice. You start from the bottom, and I didn't care anyway. So I had to go around to all the different dormitories and collect all their stinking uniforms. Geez, some of them kids, they're just nasty. Some of them, I tell you, think they've been sent to like some rich school, and you know, but yeah, you should see some
things haven't been implemented. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, do some alterations on some trousers that just got some kind of stains, all kinds of. Yeah, I don't want to go into that anyway. But yeah, so I did dry cleaning for them, and so I was just picking up the uniform, and I had to do repairs on it and stuff like that. So I just started from the bottom, and I started doing alterations, and then worked my way up to doing waistcoats. I actually wanted to learn how to do jackets, but at the time, the guy that was supposed to teach me, he didn't turn up, so. I just had to learn what I could learn there from who was there, because I was like, I've come in all this way, because I had to drive all the way from Streatham to Windsor Eton every single day.
Wow.
The little Fiesta, beat up Fiesta. It was going about 90 miles an hour on the highway, it was just shaking, everything's rattling. But
amazing though. See, the humble beginnings, but you put your work in, you kept focused, and you kept pushing, and that's what it shows. You know, people see, as I said, the end result, but you took that plunge. You travelled from London all the way to Windsor, which is far for ladies and gentlemen who've been listening. And Windsor is obviously the place where Harry and Meghan got married. So that gives you an idea of the the demographic and the environment, but you took
Yeah,
that
yeah,
plunge. And
yeah, yeah. They've actually met Prince William on the High Street. Actually, when I came out of our shop and winners meeting High Street, because they share the whole street
yeah,
basically, and that's where they all the students they from Eton College they use like the post office or the sweet shop or
yes,
whatever.
yes, yes.
And I came across the road and I walked into the post office where we usually like post stuff from the tailors every day and whatnot. And they had like his security guards outside the post office, and I walked in there and I saw him. I was like, wow,
Oh
like
wow.
that was the first time I like saw him. So yeah,
Mm.
it was mind blowing because that's what made me realize that actually I am in Eton High Street.
It's
You know,
correct.
you
You're
can bump into
literally
them guys at any time. You know, so
you
yeah,
can.
yeah, it was an experience being up there anyway.
Amazing. No, it's beautiful, very, as I said, picturesque, and has a lot. I have a few people I know that went to Eton, and big people who are like lawyers and stuff.
Yeah,
And yes, it's definitely aristocrat, and it's definitely an opportunity for people to grow. And now I know there's a lot of Etonian that are people of color that are at those that college and
yeah, yeah.
education. So I'm really, it's
That's good.
come a long way, which is fantastic.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because when I was there, this was '97. There was a few black guys there, but they were from Africa, I think. I
That's
can't.
correct.
Yeah, some of them like the rich parents that just
That's,
just said we're going to send you to Eton. So there wasn't a lot, but there was a few, but wasn't a lot. But
yeah.
it's good to see the change now. It's good to see
Definitely.
the change now.
Opportunities, isn't it? It's all about the positioning and opportunities and access to it, basically. I think, once you've got the access to that level of education,
Yeah,
and it gives you the opportunities that you can then move to wherever you want to in your
ability.
life. And that's what it is. A lot of young people have got the capabilities, it's just the opportunity they haven't had. And I think it's
Yeah,
great when you can. When you
yeah, definitely.
get
Oh,
granted.
definitely. Yeah, 'cause it does make a lot of difference to the outlook of your life. Yeah, definitely. I was actually listening to some Kevin Hart interview. It was funny on Joe Rogan, and he was talking
It's so
about
funny.
the black community don't have any support in terms of how to look after your money and how to make wealth and how to manage your money and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it was like it's so important, because without those things around you, it's hard to evolve and see outside of your circumstances. So,
Oh, definitely.
people that are privileged to be in that situation, they're not
Mhm.
going to know any better, obviously,
No.
and it's not their fault. It's just how it is, But
Mm.
it's important for, I think, people of color to go back into the community that have made it and done well for themselves to actually show these young people coming up how you can make a change and how you can get out of certain situations. And it's not, it's not for life.
No, definitely,
There's
100%.
possibilities.
And I think you, as yourself, you're a role model to young people, and you yourself will be the person that they will look up to. You've already set that standard, so that's fantastically.
Yeah. Oh,
Definitely.
thanks. I'm trying. I'm still working on myself. I'm still working on, helping other people. It's a constant evolving, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
I think I always set out to, I think first and foremost, I think being a minority in Savile for one, I'm not making it about a black or white thing anyway.
No, but you are a man of color, and it
I'm a
changes
man of
things.
color, and
You
there is
are.
very few of us. There's obviously
Definitely.
Andrew Ramroot. I've got a good friend of mine, Shane, works in Huntsman. There is a few of us around, but it's like there's not enough diversity for one, and it's a bit strange because a lot of these universities that I go to, I do lectures at. When I walk into the room, straight away they look at me and they're surprised to see a young. I still call myself young,
Of
black
course
guy.
you are. Come on now.
I'm
You
in my
are
forties
very
now, but they're still surprised to see a young black guy
yeah,
as a tailor because they're used to seeing an old traditional English white guy.
that's correct.
So that wears glasses and has a tape measure around the neck. And for
Yeah,
me to
yeah,
walk into these universities, I think it's important to show them that there is another side to not just there's of black people in the industry, but just to show
yeah,
them there's young people in the industry that
yeah,
actually dress, quite cool and they can talk the same language as them as well.
yeah.
And just try to give them inspiration because a lot of people I talk to and students, they say that, I didn't realize that, there was such a young, tailors working in Savile. I thought it was all older. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was a different
Mm.
generation, So it's good to show the diversity in that way, just of age, and also color. So yeah,
No,
it's great, man. I
definitely.
think Savile itself has kind of moved on a lot from. back in the day as well, you know, because back in the day, even they didn't even know about Savile when I started working there. They just knew about the factories. And when I told them, I was like, oh yeah, Graham, you know, I'm working now. And she's like, I don't know where that is, never heard of it. You know what I mean? So there's like a generational gap of people that I've not known about. And I think there's a lot more separates, and there was like Italians that worked on the road before. So it's changed a lot. It's good to see there's a lot of change now. So it's changed a lot.
No, you're right. It's definitely moving in the right direction. I think it's visibility. The media has evolved. You know, we can't forget about the atrocities of last year, which then changed and catapulted the visibility of people of color in different industries. And I think it made a lot of industries really take set on what they stand for and what they need to do to encourage. They call minorities, but we would say we are individuals that have so much to offer. So I think a lot has changed where now they're actually placing or giving people the visibility that they never used to have. So it's a great thing. It's definitely
yeah. Because you need to show a whole picture of the reality of today and the day that we live in, right? And it's not just from one side and one, you know, particular outlook on things. It just gives a bit more of a variety for people that want to possibly get into that industry or whatever. It just makes them feel like, oh, okay, I can relate to that person. And, you know,
if you see it, you can, it's like, you know, President Obama and the Obamas, when you see it, you know it's possible. And that's what it is. To know it's there, to know you can achieve it. And that day, seeing them going into power really made me as a person of color, as a woman, go, wow, this is possible. Of course, we can't forget in Africa and parts of the world, they have black, in Jamaica, they've got black presidents, I get it. But for something what we call the Western world, the free world, it changed everything. And
definitely.
The ceiling just crashed and said, right, that's it now. It's only me stopping you.
Exactly, and now we have a female vice president that's black as well. So that's even another level now, you know. So which we needed after Trump, obviously.
Oh yeah, all dead. Let's not use that word too much. All
dead. We went forward and then we went back again, and then we
did. We're going to segue nicely with that. But no, so when you left the Eton, the Tailors, what happened after that? I mean, obviously that was a great opportunity and experience, and to have that prestige on your resume must have helped navigate you to the next level. So what was that journey from after that?
Well, to be honest, I was always hoping to learn how to make jackets, and when I got the job at this place, they said that I would get an apprenticeship and I was going to learn from a coat maker. And because it never happened and there was no one there to teach me, I was like, okay, where can I go to learn? And I want to learn how to do jackets. I want to learn how to do it the best of my ability. I want to learn the best. I want to learn how to do the jacket that I saw in the window when I first came into the shop. And I was talking to a young guy that was working here at the time. He was a trouser maker, and he said, "Oh, Lee, why don't you go to Savile?" And I was like, "Who's he? I've never heard of him." And he just said basically, "This is golden mile of tailoring," and he gave me the whole history on it. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I've got to go there then." After I already moved up to Eton, Windsor as well. I was living in Slough, not too far from there. Because I dedicated my life to try and learn. And after about a year, because I wasn't learning much apart from obviously the waistcoats and alteration stuff, so I did learn quite a lot there while I was there. Not get me wrong, but I still had a passion to learn the jacket. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make my way to go to this place they call Savile, and I thought, okay, I need to go there. And I asked the guy, what is it that I need to do to get in to this place if it's supposed to be the best, blah blah, and all that kind of stuff you'll send me. So he said, basically, you need to just go there and just bring some samples. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I brought loads of samples, and I went to the first shop I went to was Henry Poole, and I went in there and I bought everything. I just went in there, I just bought everything. And that's what I say to a lot of like youngsters nowadays. They're like, so what do we do? Send in CVs? What shall we, how do we approach your companies? And they ask me if I know someone that can, and I'll just say, look, just go to the shop, just bring as many samples as you can, just show them what you've got and what your capabilities are, you know, because that's what I want to see. When they get CVs all the time, they're not going to look at it, you know. Everyone get, you know, you get CVs on your in your email box, and half the time you don't even look at it, and that's not really going to show your true skills and talent from some sewing, because we're working in, you know, sewing industry, so you need to see the actual work.
That's correct.
And so that's what I did. I took some samples, and I took loads of samples down. And the guy looked at my waistcoat in particular, because I was really good at waistcoats by then. So because they couldn't learn the jacket, so he said, "Oh, I love your waistcoats, because we actually do need a waistcoat maker." And at the time, I was still hoping that they'll give me a job as a coat maker, but because I didn't learn how to make coats, but I learned a few bits and pieces. So I still made some coat samples, and I was hoping he would give me a job, because that's what I said to him. I was like, I want to be a coat maker. He just said to me, look, you need a lot more training on the coats, but your waistcoats are really good, and we need a waistcoat maker. And if you want, you can have a job here. And I was like, yep, straight away. I was like, okay. And I started real soon after that. And I worked there for I think about 2 or 3 years.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
that's a good innings.
Yeah.
That's good time. You really understood
Yeah.
the footfall, the type of clients that you'd get, what they want,
Yeah.
what they don't want. This must have been a very good opportunity to.
Oh
really
yeah. But the thing is, when you're working for shops, you don't see the clients yourself, because you're working in there's different stages of tailors. There's a coat maker, there's a trouser maker, there's a waistcoat maker, there's a presser, there's a tailoress finisher, and she does all the hand sewing on the garment. And the cutter, of course, is the front of house. So when you as a client, when you go into a shop, all you would see is the cutter, front of house, or a salesman, and they're the ones that will see you. So someone like myself, you wouldn't see me, because I'll be working in the workshop, either in the basement or in the top workshop, if they've got one, or wherever. In Henry Paul's case, I was working in the top workshop at the time. So that's what led me on doing that. After years and years, that's what led me on to do my own label, because I didn't get to see the clients. So I was making all these stuff for these different people, celebs, and all those kind of things, but it wasn't actually on my label, because I was working it through the companies. And after a while, you get kind of like a bit disheartened, because you're doing all this work and you're not getting the credit for it. You're just getting like the praises, like, oh, you've done a good job, I want to give you another job. You know what I mean?
What you mean, yeah.
So
to get to that next level, you need accreditation. You need that.
Exactly. You after a while. I mean, there's a part of you that you start off and you just want to learn, and that's all I wanted to do. And I wanted to learn how to do. So after a while, I just wanted to learn. So I just kept working at companies until someone could kind of show me how to do it. And this is what I say to like youngsters as well that want to get into the trade and that might not be able to actually just go and do exactly what they want to do first, which might be like making jackets. They may end up doing waistcoats or whatever. But I would say, like, just try get into anywhere you can, just to get your foot in the door, even if it's alterations. Because when you're working in a workshop, you'll be surrounded by other tailors in there. You can just pick up things as you go along around other people, and that's what I did. I went to another company after that, Gives and Hawks. I worked in there for about 3 years, and they took me on because I could do waistcoats and I could do alterations as well. So I worked there for a while. And while I was in there, there was some great coat makers in there. There was like 3 or 4 good coat makers, and they were really good. And there was an old guy called Albert, Jamaican guy as well. One Jamaican, well, actually 2 Jamaicans on the road. The one Jamaican guy that I first met, and his jackets were amazing. And I was like, I need to make a jacket like that. But unfortunately for me, he was just leaving, so I had to just buy luck again.
It's always a way, isn't it?
It is, but I believe things are meant to happen, and when it's meant to happen, it's just how it goes. You just got to take it as it comes. But luckily, there was some other coat makers there, so I managed to learn from. So that's when I finally learned how to do the jackets, which I always wanted to do. And I started learning at Gives and Hawks. I was there for a few years, and it was great, man. It was great. So I always say to students, just get your just get your foot in the door, and just learn from other tailors around you, and just take as much information as you can. As long as you're being friendly and being nice to people, and you can help them as well do some of their work, so you're not bothering them, because a lot of tailors nowadays were self-employed, so it's hard to actually train someone, because then you're kind of losing money in a way. That's what a lot of mentality is for a lot of tailors, because you're taking up their time. So you just try to be helpful and help whoever you're going to be working with or want to learn from.
So tell me about the celebrities that you've worked with. They sound all very interesting.
Yeah, so so this is where I can name drop now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't take all the credit. I mean, I've had a couple of celebs on my own label, but most of the celebs that I've done have been through the companies that I've worked for. And you only know that it's a celebrity when because usually you get what they call a tailor's bundle, where
Yeah.
it's job wrapped up and it's got string around it, and then you've got a ticket in there, just to tell you like who the customer is and who you're actually going to make the jacket for. So that's the only time, usually you just look at a ticket and you look at the name and you're like, okay, whoever, Joe Bloggs,
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah.
And every now and then a name might come along and you'd be like, oh, okay, it's him. So, yeah, I did for Prince William, I did for him a waistcoat actually when I was working in Eton when I had my first tailoring job.
Oh,
So I
wow.
did a waistcoat for him then. And then it was funny because then when I started working on Savara, I did a waistcoat for him again for a wedding. So
Oh,
they would have
really?
yeah, when he was at school, and then one when he got married, when I was at Gibbs and the Hawks. So I did for him, and then I did for Madonna a waistcoat as well. This is when I was just like really into the waistcoats, and that's because I couldn't learn jackets, so I was like
Yeah.
the waistcoat kid. So
Still
I did for
amazing.
Madonna, and then I did, and then when I started doing jackets now, it kind of made me a better jacket maker because I already had experience of making already.
Cool.
So it was kind of good because I appreciated it more when I started to learn it because it was like I've been wanting to learn this for so long now. I was doing waistcoats for 8 years by that time, so I was like, okay, I'm ready now. So I just gave it all my best. I would say enthusiasm in terms of wanting to learn it really quickly, but wanting to learn all the best parts I could because I was in a workshop with some great tailors, and I decided to take pieces from each of the great tailors that I like, certain parts that they did in the jacket, and create this like Frankenstein kind of, so to speak, jacket that was like the I thought was the best.
Of course.
So yeah, I did that. I did for Johnny Depp as well. I did for who else did I do for? Uh, there's been a few. I'm not
Yeah,
bragging
that's
because it wasn't.
amazing.
I could say this wasn't on my label, but
Okay.
I did for a few. And what's that other guy's name? Ah, there's there's uh, there's a lot of films, different films. Like I did one for Colin Firth
Wow.
for the Kings of a Movie, the first one. So I worked with a guy called Martin Nichols. He's the one that actually cut the suits, and
Yeah.
he worked with the on screen the design. What they call those people again that work on the
Yeah, the costume design
costume
team.
designer? Yeah, he worked with
Hmm.
costume designer. So he cut the jobs out and he gave it to me, and it was fun times because it was actually work quick because then you have to work on several different pieces at the same time. You got to do for the stuntmen as well, and you're making like
Wow.
10 jackets in the same cloth, the same style. It's like, when you
God.
first start doing it, you're like, oh, this is amazing. They've got it. And after you like sixth jacket in, you're like, oh, okay,
Enough.
when is it over? It was a great experience as well. It was a great experience to see it on a big screen as well,
Yeah.
and to see your work. And it was one of those iconic, I would say, British movies as well. That
Yeah.
it will be set in time. You can look at it, in years to come, and know that you made, part of that movie. So yeah,
Definitely.
it was great to be involved. I like getting involved in movie stuff as well because it's good, especially when they do like a themed kind of movie where it might be Edwardian or something like that, and you're always working on interesting clothes. So
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
did that for that one, and yeah, it was great because my inspiration was James Bond. I think like most guys, back in the day, James Bond was my kind of hero, and it was great to actually be trained by the guy that made his suits as well.
Wow.
Um, this was Sean Connery. So I fell in love with like the whole movie of James Bond and the lifestyle and all that kind of. Not that I had the lifestyle to go with it, but I fell in love with it, and that's what inspired me to want to do more
Cool.
tailoring and make more suits for myself. And yeah, so I think the Kingsman movie is more of a I would say it's more of a British take on the James Bond because
Yeah.
James Bond, the suit's not even made in the UK, which is
Yeah.
they're all like um, what's his name, Tom Ford and all that kind of stuff, which is, it's great, but it's not an English brand.
Yes, I didn't even know that. See, that's just completely made me go, why then? Why wouldn't you? That's the
Exactly,
whole
right?
idea. They love, you know, people when you go to other parts of the world, even America, they absolutely like there was a transition from them wearing baggy clothes to wearing tailored and fitted clothes. And I
Yeah,
know when I first went to New York and I walked around, I was like, oh my God, they're British men. Because
yeah,
our
yeah,
men wear suits and shirts and all the things together.
yeah,
And I saw so that Europe is a huge, you know,
yeah. And especially, yeah, America, I think they've made a big turnaround and change because the suits that, I mean, I've got some good friends that do some really nice tailored suits, you know.
mm,
But there was a time when the I would say the American look, they do have their own style and look, but I would say it was a little bit too baggy for me.
that's
It wasn't
correct.
as tailored and fitted.
That's correct.
Um, and that's down to personal taste as well. And also, you know, there wasn't the tailors that could more or less do the craftsmanship as well. I mean, there are some good tailors over there. Don't get me wrong, but I think
Mhm. But
it was more
hands
elusive.
down with, sorry, I'm not going to say not bad things about you, Americans. That I know they know I love them, but when it comes to tailoring, we got it down packed. Europe.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just
Well, I let you say that one, but I 100% agree. But no, I think
we have. They are good, but we're
I,
very good at that.
yeah, I think when it comes to the British cut, I think Americans do like the British tailor cut.
They do.
I
They
think it's a
really
lot
do.
sharper and it's a lot more popular now than obviously it used to be for 40 years, 50 years ago.
Mm,
And yeah, there's something about the English cut. Every cut's different in a different country. Like Italians, they're like a more relaxed, more comfortable fit.
mm.
And yeah, the English cut is more structured. It comes from the military more or less, right? So it's
True,
more
true.
structured. And because in military you used to, you know, when you salute and stuff, so the armhole is quite high, so that's why you get that nice
I
silhouette as
see.
well,
Interesting.
and that's why it's all cut like that, and it's very structured,
Mm,
the Savaro cut as well suit. So yeah,
mm.
I love it, but I also like the Italian cut and I like the English cut, because the
Yeah,
Italian cut, I like the softness and just the comfort of it. So I
yeah.
try to mix the two. So I do kind of like a
Mm,
comfortable feel when you wear a suit. This is for my own clients, and
okay.
I do a structured kind of Savaro look cut. So the like shoulder line's quite sharp. I do a nice rope sleeve head, and yeah, it just looks sharp. But when you've got it on, it feels comfortable.
Feels
You know? So
comfortable. I
it's
like
not
that.
as structured too much. You know, so
Mm,
you can actually feel comfortable in it. You know,
the
so yeah,
movement. So let's talk about your bespoke. So Lee Marsh bespoke. So that's your own brand. It must
yes,
have been so exciting to create, to be working with various organizations, big ones that you mentioned in Savile Row. And for the people listening, Savile Row is one of the main places in London, very esteemed, where people get their suits done. It's been going since what 1800s or something ridiculous
yeah,
like
generations and generations.
generations and
Sure.
generations. So when you get your suit in Savile Row, it's like as a man and as a woman, because women wear suits and tailoring, it's very prestigious. So to have that background and then to go and do your own bespoke is phenomenal. And
Yeah, yeah,
obviously you kind of spoke about you wanted something that was your own, you wanted to get credit. So you just
yeah.
took that plunge. But it must have been incredible to take the plunge. You know, when did that
Oh, yeah, for
happen? And
sure.
how is it
Yeah,
going so far? What's happening?
yeah. I mean, I started to launch my brand in 2013. I think I did my first collection on bespoke, and I was just so creative that
Yeah.
I'll say I was so creative, but I had, I was creative person before I came to the row, because I was doing my own label then as well, but I was doing like fashion shows and stuff like that, so I was creative anyway. And then
Mhm.
when I got to Savaro, it kind of drain that creativity out of me, because you do a lot of like pinstripe business suits and it's very, you know, conservative, you know, you don't really do much creative stuff, and that's what a lot of the students make the mistake of doing, because they come from fashion college and they come to Savaro and they expect to still carry on
And you
some of
don't.
that, and it's not, it's all classic and traditional.
Mm.
So when I got there, like I said, I started working at different places, and after a while I kind of needed to scratch that creative, you know, that buzz again. So for me, I was like, I have to start my own label. But how am I going to do this? Because you know, when you're working, you need your day job and you're doing lots of work, and
That's
you're like, I'm not passionate about this anymore. I love the craft of it, and I love being here. And I was grateful for actually finally learning how to do jackets. So I had to get out of my system for a few years. And then it got to a stage where like, okay, this is just routine for me now. I need to do some creative stuff. So I started to do a collection, and it was a bit crazy because I was just I had a lot of creativity in my mind at the time. It was built up over the years, and I just needed to let it out, and I let it out all on the catwalk, and it was too much was going on. Going on.
Just,
But
woo!
it was a start. Yeah, yeah. It was a bit like, okay, I like that number there. It was a good idea because I pre-shot the fashion show in a studio, pre-shot it, and then I showcased it in a gallery. So it had like a backdrop
Nice.
in the gallery, and you had all like the pictures. But then I had my mannequins in between the pictures covered up. So after people watched the fashion show on the backdrop, then I unveiled my collection, and it was like, you know, there was like canapes and champagne, or it was
All
like
of that
that
good
kind of
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, all that good stuff. So it was lovely, but then it was just like too much was going on with the collection. But after that, it just made me feel like I need to start doing this and get a momentum going. And then I just started to do more designing and doing collections every couple of years. And then I set up my jacket label, which I, you know, because it takes a while, as I'll just say for young designers or tailors out there, anyone that wants to find their own style and be creative. It doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, it takes a while to kind of understand where you're going to channel your designs and what's going to be right for you and what is going to be right for your market and stuff like that. So it took me a while. So I had to do that collection, even though it was crazy and mad. I had to do that just to get out my system, and then I started to water down certain pieces that I liked, and most importantly, other people liked, the more important ones, and I started to refine them. And out of like 8 pieces, it ended up being a bomber jacket.
Oh, interesting.
I actually started to refine, and then before I knew it, I just like, okay, I want to do jackets now, and I concentrated more like smart casual bomber jackets and blazers as well. So that's when I started my own label. Well, I launched my concessions on Savile, and that's when I actually had a not say a shop, but I had a concessions in a shop when I actually started. Then, you know, where previously I was working inside the workshops and stuff. So I started from there. And then, that was going well for a while. And now COVID came, and
I know. I was gonna. I wanted to use the COVID name. Sometimes it's interesting, you know. Some people have really benefited from COVID. Some people, it's kind of made you stagnant, a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But would you say, you know, not to, I don't like to give it too much life, this C word, but doesn't it enable you to then dig a bit deeper and go, right, what am I going to do now after? And actually refine and have a bit of stillness. I mean, is that a positive?
Yeah. I'm sure you could say the same take on that. I mean, for me, I know it's been a really tough time for a lot of people, and some people have reflected, and some people, it's, you know, there's been deaths and all sorts going on. But I think for me, I won't say it's been the best time because it's just a lot of stuff that's going on, you know what I mean? And it's been a time, yes, for reflection. And I think business wise, it just gave me a bit more of what can I say? It just gave me a bit more determination to do something instead of not doing, because I can't see my clients. So I had to put a stop on, kind of, not say put a stop, but I've got like suits on hold and stuff on hold until lockdown is released again and stuff like that. But it enabled me to kind of concentrate on things that I actually really do love to do. And the first lockdown that happened, when this was last year now, right?
Gosh, this time nearly. Well, a few more weeks later. God, it's gone so quickly.
Crazy, man. So the first time that happened, I started to do some online tutorials on Instagram, just showing people if they have problems in tailoring. I'll just show them like techniques on what to do and stuff like that. And then I was getting some good feedback, and then I thought, okay, I want to just offer people, if they want, some private lessons. And then from there, I just got mad crazy busy.
That's amazing.
Loads of students. I got students in New York, Canada, Sweden.
There's some blessings in this lockdown that has never. I always say there's nothing. You will never have an opportunity to have so much people that you can get access to than you were before. And the fact that people are online, you can now broaden your horizons to the masses globally.
Yeah.
Amazing. So the tour is going to be called the Lee Marsh Bespoke Tour, the Lee Marsh Bespoke Tour. So you'll be traveling around and then doing all these auditoriums. That's what I see for you.
Thank you.
Open up. Why not?
Yeah, I know, but it's like at the moment, because I don't have to travel, and everything's out there on social media, but content by doing videos. it's like the best time for me because
is.
before lockdown I quite like doing editing and stuff. I was getting into do little videos and stuff like that of me making and production just to just inspire the youngsters and students out there as well. And now I'm currently doing a video based on how to make a jacket from start to finish. And it's never been shot in this way before. And because I'm being used to editing, and like not people can't get like film crew to, you know, come in their house and stuff. So I'm able to do it by shooting 2 different cameras. So I'm showing 2 different angles, so really in depth. So because I'm editing myself, I'm able to show it through a sewer's eye so that, you know, people that can relate to it, that make clothes as well, they can see what I'm want them to see, you know, rather than you giving it to someone to edit and they're not really going to catch what you want. So I'm really enjoying it at the moment. So I'm planning to do that and launch that in April. And I think, it's gonna be really good because I'm trying to target students that are trying to learn stuff, trying to learn how to do bespoke, because there's not a lot of content out there. Just like when I started, there wasn't I was reading books, and there's only so much you can learn from books. And it took me till like, you know, 8 years later to actually learn from somebody. But I want to show the content in a way that someone that knows how to sew can pick it up and understand it and know how to make it. And then also I'm going to be providing, well, I'm still doing private lessons as well. So
I like that.
if they have any problems, they can still book private lessons with me, and I can kind of, you know, make sure they're on the right track. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. So I'm doing that, and I'm also still doing my brand. So I'm just kind of rebranding at the moment, because smart casual wear, I've been a big believer in the smart casual wear anyway. I've been doing that before this lockdown, and I've been a little bit busier with the bomber jacket stuff, but it's died down now because a lot more people, they want you to visit them. And I had a great idea. There was like an app. I didn't even know about this app, right? It's so much things you learn on social media now, right? There's this app that you can send to a client, and he can scan his body, and you get the measurements, and then you can just cut the pattern out.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I didn't even know about this. Wow. It's crazy, right?
Crazy.
Madness. So I was like, okay, so how can I not make for my clients then? So I've done a big, not say a big marketing campaign. I've done a video based on the process and how it works. But yeah, people are just not kind of getting it. People still, I think, specifically my clients, they love you coming to see them. It's the process of seeing the tailor.
It's the personalization. It's you said it. It's that, but it's bespoke. It's that one-to-one. It's this. That's what's so special about tailoring, isn't it? You know, haute couture is the whole made to measure. The made to measure. There's something very special about that, and it's that time.
It's service at its peak.
Yeah.
When I was on the road, sorry to keep saying Savile, but
it's okay.
When I was on the road, right, I used to have clients come in there, and while they're coming down the stairs, they're on their phone. I'm going to see my tailor. I'm on Savile Road. They get all excited.
They do.
Coming to the showroom, you sit them down and make them a drink, and you have a little chat with them, conversate with them, ask them what they've got in their wardrobe. You just talk to them, just you become friends, you know. Because it's a very personal service, you know, and you show them the cloth, and you have another conversation, pour them another drink and get them drunk. They might order 2 suits, you know, you never know. But it's just, and then you're doing the fitting with them, and they're trying. It's just another level. It's just another level. I remember I made something for my uncle, family member. He was getting married. I'll never forget this. It's only because I actually got to witness it because I went to his wedding. Made him a suit, and he surprised me, embarrassed me. He was doing his speech at the wedding, and he was like giving out little gifts to people that helped through the wedding and stuff. You know how some people do. And you know how Jamaicans are as well, right? Yeah. when they like something, they have to talk about it.
All day.
On the table, and he goes, "Look at my suit. You see my suit? I got this from my nephew from Savile." And he goes, "I felt like a king when I came down there." I felt so embarrassed. But it's that he just summed it up in terms. I know he's my uncle, but he just summed it up for me. That that's what you want people to feel. You want people to feel special.
You do.
And as much as I've done this app thing, I was like, yeah, I know it's going to be big. It's really convenient. But people don't. Some people don't really want that, especially the clients I deal with. So unfortunately, I had to put that on a back burner, and then I started to work more on my my teaching lessons and the videos that I'm going to have coming out, and I'm just rebranding stuff with the smart casual stuff anyway. So
really excited. You're completely right when you speak about the one-to-one. You can't. That's the whole thing about Savile Row. That's the whole thing about tailoring is being measured up. And I don't know, I think you guys, you love a good measuring tape anyway. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Or what's the other thing you do when you're doing
Never too far
DIY?
from one. I was about to grab one. I was never too far from one. The one right
See
there.
what I mean? I think for some reason that's, I don't know if it's in a man drawer, but the whole thing that the tape, that you just love it. So I think that
Yeah.
it feels like you're doing something, and it feels to the person that's coming as your client that they're receiving something.
Yeah.
And no
Yeah.
matter what the
It's not with
future,
service.
do you know
Yeah,
what
it's not with service. It's like we're there for you. It's weird because it's almost like a butler service in a way, because
it
so
is a
the
little
customer comes through the door, you're like, "Hello, sir, how you doing?"
bit.
But I tend not to have clients that can I say? I tend to have clients that not say are my friends, because my friends won't buy suits from me anyway, because they always want a discount. You know how it is.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I tend to have,
Painful,
it's like
guys.
friends and
Painful.
families, right? Yeah, friends and families, especially in Jamaican families, right? And because in Jamaican families, obviously everyone, there's always someone that can sew, so it's a normal thing. It's not, so I don't get offended. But it's like, if I was to do that and make stuff for family all my life, I wouldn't be living anywhere. I'll be homeless. You know what I'm saying? As much as I love my family,
I know. Listen, there's a thing in the Caribbean. It's called overstand. I overstand.
Yeah, you understand? Yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
exactly. You get that straight away, right? You get that straight away.
100%.
So I don't know what it is about us that we feel like that. It's like, don't you think that person has to earn a living, or he has to? It's like I get some family members that think they're doing me a favor by giving.
I know.
Anyway,
And you know what? This is a global thing. You know, I have a significant other that's African American, and the same thing. I think you know our story. We've been dropped off different parts of the world, and we're the same people. So the same thing you're talking about, they do exactly the same thing in African American. It's just like, really, guys.
Yeah, it is, right.
They're looking a discount, or they're looking a freebie. It's never, but you have to hold your own, and you have to stand your ground, because
you do.
they have a business and they have to respect that. But one of the great things you said, when they do know you're successful, you couldn't get any better marketing than the Caribbean African American.
I'll tell you, man. The thing about us, we've got so much love and passion for people.
Yeah.
And when you've seen someone doing well, you will sing and scream and shout about, and you don't care who knows or who you. So that's what I love. We're very passionate people.
We're very.
Yeah, so I take the bad with the good.
Right. And the spicy. That's why it's all, I don't know if anyone on the listening has been to the Caribbean, and I went over there many years ago, and I'm not even going to say how many because I'd be embarrassed, but I went there and they knew immediately I was not from there. I was lining up, I was doing lists, I was doing all sorts of stuff that made no sense to them. And it was just
likewise, I was going to do the walk as well when I was on the beach.
Yeah,
I got away with it until the guy came up to me and asked me, "Oh, what you here for?" And I started talking. He goes, "Oh, English."
Yeah, they laugh because they find us funny,
Yeah, I know.
But when you go there, you realize where you've come from, what your background is, the character, the energy.
Yeah, because it's a hustling mentality, right? In the Caribbean, you have a hustling mentality. 100%. There's one person that ain't got at least 4 jobs. He's a decorator, he's an electrician. He
can do everything.
Yeah, anything you want, you can get it.
I'll give you a joke, and I'll give the audience a joke. I was in Jamaica I was in a market, and there was a guy, I'd laugh every time. There was a guy standing there with some scales. So what you stand on to lose weight. Yeah. So I went over to him, and he had like a sign. And he was literally charging people. And I said, you couldn't get any better than that. It had to be in Jamaica. Charging people to weigh themselves.
Another level. I heard that one before.
And I said, so he goes, yeah, $5. I'm like, what? Yeah. And you know what? I got on the scales. I couldn't. Yeah. I gave him at the time some US dollars. Fantastic. I'm not gonna knock you.
Great, man. Yeah, that's the hustle, man. That is the hustle. That's the hustle. And you need it, man. And that's what I think that's life's a hustle anyway. But I think it's great when you've got that mentality, because I've got some like Jamaica friends when I was growing up that came over here and they opened up barbershops and stuff like that, and I was still at school and I was like, what's going on? And they just left school and they decided to do some hustling, and then they got into supporting themselves and getting a shop, and they just doing really well. And I'm like, how did you do that? But it's just that hustling mentality. And they looked at me as if I've got all this opportunity, And
Yeah. What are you
I'm not doing
doing?
nothing with it.
That's
And I'm
correct.
like, okay, I don't see what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Do you know
It's
what I
the
mean?
humble, it's the background. As I said, it's a lack of opportunity, but it is, you call it hustle, we call it grafting
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
shaping.
yeah,
And they have got that. When you look at when they're in Jamaica, they've got their little stalls, their shops.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
doing everything that we would do if we was here, but they're just
yeah,
transporting it. And to them, why are you not doing something? Why is it you're just sitting being
yeah,
idle? They don't know what that means. And if you
yeah,
think of the island called Jamaica, the successes that have come from there, that just tells you.
yeah,
That just tells you we can start going from government, from from the athletics industry, and the list goes on and on.
yeah,
When
yeah.
you've
It
seen
should.
that, or in any industry, when you've seen it's been difficult to make success, it brings something different in you. It's not an
Yeah,
accident people in Brazil are some of the best footballers in the world because they use using little balls and dirt.
exactly. Yeah,
So I
exactly. It's
think
coming from that struggle,
we're a
and
little bit sport over here. We are. We're very
oh,
blessed. We've
definitely.
got so much, and you have to dig a bit deeper now to really push because we've got
Yeah,
everything. I
yeah,
haven't got
no,
children.
exactly.
But you see the children; they've got
100%.
everything.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. My kids are, I won't say they're spoiled, but they, I sound like an old man when I say to them, when I didn't do that in my days, like my daughter, she loves her drawing and stuff like that.
Wow.
She'll come to
Well,
me saying, "Daddy, I'm bored. I'm bored." I'm just like, you know what? You should be creative. You should be thinking about games and how to do different things. When I was young, sometimes I didn't have no board games or this and that to play with. I was creating
that's
games
correct.
from nothing. You know what I mean? You just got to think and be creative. And
Yeah.
it's like without an iPad or something in front of them, like, they just get bored easily. But it's just different generations. But
It is, and I
uh,
think we can't blame them. It's what they're born into, isn't it?
exactly, exactly. But I think, like what you said, it's coming from that mentality of being hungry, not having anything, and learning how to survive and struggle and hustle and get by. So when you do have certain opportunities, you just grab it,
You
just
do.
grab it, and that's
And
why.
you've definitely done that, Lee. When I think of the journey that you've taken to where you got on that train, even though it felt like it was a million miles away, you did that, you took that plunge. Then
Yeah,
from that, you got the opportunity to be taken on as an apprentice. And then you move from there into Savile Row. And now you have your own brand. And it just shows you have
thank
to
you.
work hard, you have to make sacrifices and all the
Oh,
things
for
you need
sure.
to do,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, thank you. And I think that's why it's important to have these discussions so I can, talk to these youngsters as well to just let
Yeah.
them know, like, yeah, I've had it hard. Not that I want you to have it even harder, but there
Mm.
is different ways that you can get through, and I'm
Mm.
just trying to like see if I can spread that across.
And you
I
are.
think, yeah, I think it's important, especially in this industry, because in tailoring they say it's a dying trade. It's not a dying trade. It's just that there's
No.
not enough facilities. There's not enough. There's a few courses out there that people can go and learn bespoke tailoring, but there's not enough good quality ones as well, and there's not enough people that are willing to teach. Because the thing about this industry, it's very old school mentality. It's almost like people don't want to show you stuff because they don't want you to take
Mm.
their work. It's like they don't
Crazy.
want to show you their knowledge. Just like even when I was learning, people didn't really want to show me anything. But because I
Mm.
was so chatty with them, I'm like, oh yeah, and they were like me. They're like, how's your wife? How's she today? And I used to
Yeah.
chat to him, and like while I'm talking to him, I'm looking at his work and seeing what he's doing, and he knows I'm looking at his work,
Mm.
and he's kind of slowing down a little bit, but because he likes me, he just carries on and just lets me look. Do you know what I mean? But
Mm.
it's very hard for people to learn and get in the industry, and I think it's a shame. It's a shame that there's people out there that are not willing to teach as well and show people and pass on their knowledge, because it's that mentality of like, once I show them, I'm not going to get any work, and it has happened. But I've
Yeah.
always said, once you're good at what you do, don't be afraid to share that knowledge, because you just want the best for people, and they should be able to succeed. And it doesn't mean you're not going to get any work from that.
That's
It just
correct.
means that if you're good
Mm.
enough, you'll still get work anyway, and there's more than enough to go around. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, I just try to put that across when I'm doing, like, lectures, or talking to anybody student wise, that I will share all my knowledge. I don't mind just like, just teaching somebody and taking time out, because I believe that when I started, I didn't have that, and I think if you don't give back something, then
No,
what are
definitely.
we as people, right?
What's the point if you can't give back?
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
And no, Lee, it's been so lovely. We had a good giggle. We had a good time
yeah,
talking to
yeah.
you
It's good
today. And
chatting with you.
where can they find you? And where can they connect with you? What's your website so people can come and get your
Oh,
tailoring
thanks.
advice or get a suit and all the things that you're offering some
Yes.
amazing people? How can they connect with you?
So thanks for that. I've got my website is leemarsh.co.uk. That's where I do smart casual bespoke, specialize in bomber jackets and also blazers, everything bespoke. I've got my own style, but also I believe bespoke is about the individual as well. Because I know there's some bespoke places that they like, this is my style, and you, if you don't like it, then you go somewhere else. I mean, I believe bespoke is for the people. It's about what bespoke comes from Savile, and it's meant for the customer. It's like the cloth is bespoke for the customer. It's all about the customer, what he wants. So I also do that as well as my own style, my brand. Yes. And then I do my teaching, like the video I'm going to launch in April. Yeah, that's going to be on my SJM online, www.co.uk site. And yeah, you can catch me on Instagram anyway. Marsh Bespoke, and I'll keep everybody up to date with what's going to be going on. Yeah.
Amazing. So, now, I wish you all the best, Lee. I have no doubt that this is a name that I will hear all around the world. Why not? You know, speak it out. That's what they say. And you're doing some great things. Right? Yeah.